All right. Now we're doing FreeCodeCamp Legacy Python for everybody. Strings in Python. Let's get to it. Make sure we got our notes out, ready to go, and let's get to it. Push pause. Turn the volume down as usual. All right, let's fix this up right here. Strings chapter 6. Let's do that. All the way to the bottom. Let's go to the bottom. There we go. Chapter 6. Come on. Strings. There we go. Let's see. Let's listen and watch.
Hello and welcome to Chapter 6. In this chapter, we're going to talk about strings. And
Awesome.
Chapter 7 is the payoff chapter. So we, up to this point, we're still learning sort of basic building blocks. And actually, we're going to write a real program in Chapter 7. So just learn this and the payoffs in Chapter 7.
There we go.
So we actually been using strings.
Do some typing. All right. Here we go. String data type. All right. So string data type. Here we go. A string is a sequence of characters. A string literal uses quotes, single quotes or double quotes. So hello or hello. They got to be the same though, right? You can't have like, what are we doing? You can't do like hello, or that's not gonna work, right? Makes sense. Let's go to the next line and say for strings, plus means concatenate. All right. What's concatenate mean though? It means adding a string together. Like let's say we had a string hello. Well, let's say we said hello, this string hello, and then instead of or it was plus hello, it would be hello, and then right after this O, it would be capital H hello right there. All right, so that's what concatenation means. It just means combining the two strings. Let's do the next one. When a string contains numbers, it is still a string. True. We can convert numbers in a string into numbers using int or float. Maybe not float. I don't know. We'll find out. But let's assume we could do it to float too by saying float too. All right, let's do it.
Strings from the very first lecture, because if you print hello world, well, that's a string. And so we've been doing things this little.
I forgot to look at this stuff. All right, so let's look at this. I don't feel like typing this. So we got string 1 equals hello, and then string 2 equals there. And you see they've got the two different kinds of, what's the thing called? Quotation marks, but they're the same. They do the same thing. So Bob equals string 1 plus string 2. And so when we say print Bob, we got hello there like this, no space in the middle because there's no space after the O and hello or before the T, depending on how you want to do it. All right, so we got string 3 equals 1, 2, 3. And so we say string 3 equals string 3 plus 1. We can't do this in Python because you can't have a string added to a number, right? You don't see any quotes around this, so it's not a string, it's just it's a number. So string and int cannot concatenate string and int objects, right? So that's what that says. We've got x equals int string 3 plus 1. All right. So when we turn this into an int 1, 2, 3 plus 1, it'll what will it do? It'll make it 124, right? So when we print x 124, just like that. All right, now let's go.
This slide here is all review. We use plus to concatenate strings. We use print to print them out. Print's just a function that takes as a parameter something, strings, integers, etc. We can put digits in strings, but we can't add to them. By now you figured this out, but you can use things like ints to convert the strings to integers and then print things out. So, we've been doing this for a while. We've been talking about strings all along. Now today, what we're going to do is going to just get into strings in more detail. We're reading.
All right. I was staring off into space when you changed it. All right. So let's type this one down. Reading and converting. All right. So let's say reading and converting. We prefer to read data in using strings and then parse and what a great word, parse. Parse and convert the data as we need. All right, so let's look up what parse means before we go any further, because I've done it in a video a long time ago, but it's still a word that's so stupid. It's not, you get what I'm trying to say. So what's parse mean? Parse definition. To analyze a sentence into its parts and describe. Parse definition, computer science. Boom. Parsing, syntax analysis, or syntactic analysis, let's just call it parsing, is the process of analyzing a string of symbols, either in natural language, computer language, or data structures, conforming to the rules of formal grammar. Okay, that's stupid too. Why can't they just say something normal? Why can't they just say something normal? Anyway, basically it's like turning, I don't even know how to explain it. I hear the word all the time, but I don't know. So let's just type it down. Maybe Chuck S will tell us. Okay, so need right there. This gives us more control over error situations or bad user input. And raw input numbers must be converted from strings. All right. So we prefer to read data in using strings, then parse and convert the data as we need. I guess that means analyze, like it said on the thing. Honestly, they use this word so freely and loosely, I should say, that I don't know. I don't know what I think in this one it means analyze. So this gives us more control over error situations and or bad user inputs. What are we doing? Reading and converting. I guess he'll tell us more. Raw input numbers must be converted from string. Right. So let's look at the example. So we've got name equals input enter. Let's do this. Name equals input. And then we've got enter with a space, right? Just like we've been doing. Enter, Chuck. Print name, Chuck. Apple equals input enter like this. Enter 100, okay? So X equals Apple minus 10. So 100 minus 10. But see, the 100 is an input, so it's going to be a string. So we need to turn it into an integer and print it, and it gives us 90. So we already know that. But let's hear him talk.
We input data to strings in more detail. We input data with the input function. Input returns us a string. And if we want to input a number, we have to run some kind of conversion, like we have to do an int before we take this data that we read from input, And so there's things that we've got to do, and we've been doing all these things in programs so far. But if we look a little more.
All right, let's type this down. All right, where are you? My notes. There we go. All right, bring this up here. Looking inside strings. Bring it down. Looking inside strings. For you non-English speakers, or non-native English speakers, let's say, because why would you be watching my video? When you see me lowercasing stuff like this in English, in titles, stuff like inside, this is a preposition, right? This, it's what you can do around the log. I don't remember how they explained it, but like to, I did this to the log. That's a preposition. I was inside the log. That's a preposition. I was on top of the log. That's on is a preposition. In, on, at, around, anything like that. Those are prepositions you never capitalize in. Same with these. These are conjunctions, ands, ors, yet, but. Never can capitalize those. That's why I don't capitalize these. And if you see them capitalized, they don't know what they're doing. All right, so let's get back to it. Let's get back to typing. All right, so we can get at any single character in a string using an index. Also and in the and the word a. Those are all articles. We don't capitalize those unless it's at the beginning of the title. All right. Using an index specified in square brackets. And also, they call this title case right here. They would call this like the big red at dog. They call this title case in computer science, but this should be lowercase right here in actual titles. But, you know, computers don't know the difference. Well, I mean, ChatGPT does, but let's keep going. So let's go. The index value must be an integer and starts at 0. All right. The index value can be an expression that is computed. And I don't know, I'm pretty sure they do the same thing in like Latin languages like Spanish and French and whatever, but like I'm talking to you guys that use like different characters. Anyway, so let's keep going. Boom.
More detail inside strings. We can index within strings each character. So each character has a separate position and a separate index. And they basically, the letters have positions, and the positions start at 0.
True.
And the best way I explain this to remember this is it's the elevators, as we used in one of our examples a long time ago. Elevators in Europe start at 0, and so strings start at 0 as well. Turns out in the old days there's some efficiency with the notion of lists of things starting with 0. These days the efficiency isn't the issue, but there's a certain elegance starting at 0, even though intellectually you might think 1 would be the first.
All right, let's go. Also, let's look at this anyway. Yeah, so 0 is the beginning of the index is when we go, and it's because we can also go to like the negative numbers, right? We can also go like -1 or whatever. And so, you know, 0 doesn't have a minus sign in front of it, so it would be the first one. Or honestly, I don't know. The elegance. But yeah, 0, this is a position 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we got fruit equals banana, letter fruit at 1. So that would be A. Print letter, it would be A. Look at that. X equals 3. W equals fruit at X, which is 3 minus 1. So fruit at 2. So print W would be fruit at 0, 1, 2, in. All right, so let's go.
A character in the string might make most sense to be sub 1, but it's not. It's sub 0. But just
look at this title case. Yeah, this should have been lowercase right there. Anyway, so let's go.
Remember that. And so we have this operator called the index operator, and it's square brackets. So, you know, fruit is a variable that contains the string banana, and then fruit sub 1 is the character that's in position 1. Now that actually is the second character. I'll keep reminding you until I get tired of reminding you. And so that assigns A, the letter A, into...
Yeah, so when people say the first character, it's this one, but it's the first character is at position 0. It's confusing-ish, but you'll get used to it, trust me. Give us the second character, it would be A at 1, all right? It's banana at 1 is the second character. So first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, etc.
the letter A into the variable letter. Of course, that's a badly chosen. It's either a well-chosen variable name or a badly chosen variable name. And the thing that goes inside this can either be a constant or it can be an expression. So this is x equals 3, and then fruit sub x minus 1. Well, that means 2, which is position 2, which is an n, and so that gives us an n. So the index is an operator, and you can add this bracket syntax to the end of a string variable.
True. All right. A character too far. So the, what do they call those? The off by one error. Oh boy. Off by one error. Yeah. Oh boy. Anyway, so let's do this. What did it say? A character too far. A character too far. That's too many. Also, we usually don't. We want to try to not end sentences or anything with prepositions. This is a preposition, and this is a preposition, so they should both be. What's the word? Lowercase, but at the same time, sometimes prepositions are nouns. I think far in this case is a place. Far is the place instead of far away. Far is the place. So we'll do this. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. We'll ask ChatGPT. No, we won't. All right. So let's do this. Oh, this looks so stupid. Character too far. It looks so stupid either way. Anyway, whatever. So let's go. So you will get a Python error if we, pardon me, let's back up. What am I saying, comrade? We will get a Python error if we attempt to index beyond the end of a string. All right. What else? So we need to be careful when constructing index values and slices. All right. So let's see what this is. We've got Zot equals Abaca. All right. Print Zot at 5. There is no Zot at 5. 0, 1, 2. That's all we've got. There's no 5. 4, 5. Nothing. This is not part of it. The little,
you can't.
Comma. This is the quote is not part of it. Right. To trace back most recent call last file stand-in line 1. That's this one in module string index out of range. True. Right, because there's no 5. Let's go.
Index beyond the length of the string. So if I say Zot sub 5, well, there's only 3 characters, which means 0, 1, 2. But sub 5 doesn't work. And of course, we get a.
I've never heard it called sub 5, but I guess that's a cool way to say it. I don't know. We'll see.
Little trace back. So you have to be careful when you're starting to pull stuff out of strings. Although some of the things allow it, some of them don't, and then you'll kind of get used to that. We can ask how long.
True. Strings do have length. So let's type this down. Strings have length. All right. The built-in function len gives us the length of a string. All right. Yes, it does. So we got banana right here. We got 5 indexes. We got 6 indexes starting at 0 till 5. We got fruit equals banana. Print length of fruit 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's how it works.
Long a string is. And so we use the len function. We pass the string variable, and we pass it into len as parameter, and len gives us back the length of the string, not the position. So it's 0 through len minus 1. So it's 0 through length minus 1. So length is just another function.
All right, let's do this. So this is so much better than like college, I think, being able to pause these, because like when you're in college or even high school and then the teacher like is like rushing for whatever reason and then they just skip slides, or back when I was a kid, just erase the whole freaking board. Like, get out of here, bro. All right, so let's see this. A function is some stored code. What is it? Len function is some stored code that we use. Have we done functions yet? I don't know. A function takes some input and produces an output. We've done functions, right? Anyway, whatever. We'll get to that. Let's go.
That we've been doing functions now for a while. You pass in a parameter, and then len does some work, and out comes 6, and that goes back into x because the function has a residual value. It just happens to be a built-in function. And so, somewhere deep inside Python, there is code that takes this, and somebody wrote a loop or looked something up and then returned a return value and sent back a 6 to go into our x variable. And so a function is there, and like I said, we've been using this for a while. Another thing
all right, looping through strings. Let's do this one. All right. Here we go. Looping through strings. Through is a preposition. I went through the log using a while statement and an iteration variable. What? And all right, let's back up. This is terrible English. All right. Using a while statement, an iteration variable, and the len function, we can construct a loop to look at each of the letters in a string individually. All right, I wasn't even looking at these. Individual. That's a stupid looking word, isn't it? Individual. All right. So let's look at this. Okay, let's look up here. So while using a while statement, an iteration variable, and the len function, we can construct a loop to look at each of the letters in a string individually. Right? So we've got fruit equals banana, index equals 0. While index is less than len, the length of fruit, letter equals fruit at index. Okay. Print index. Okay, so like 0 and letter. And then we'll say index equals index plus 1 at the end. So it starts at 0. So fruit at index would be B. And so we print index, so 0 space, and then the letter B. So 1 space the letter A, 2 space the letter N, 3 space the letter A, because it's going through here, 0 at B, 1A, 2N, 3A, 4N, 5A, just like that. All right, let's hear him talk.
What we tend to do is to look through strings and look at strings and dig data out of strings. Python is excellent for doing sort of these kinds of lookups. And so we can write a simple loop. We can write a for loop that creates some kind of a iteration variable like index. And given that we know that these positions are 0 through 5, we can set this to be 0. And then write a while loop while the iteration variable is less than the length of fruit. And remember, this is 6, so it's going to be 0 through 5. 0 through 5 are the values we want to generate. And then we can look up one at a time, pull out fruit sub index, so fruit sub 0, fruit sub 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then print out the position and the letter index, and then add 1 to index, and it runs. This will run 6 times, 0 through 5, and out we go to produce this output right here. And so that's one way of looping through strings. That is a basic indeterminate loop, but we construct carefully an iteration value, and work our way through that loop data. The other way is to use a determinate loop.
Okay, a determinate loop. That word's not even on here. All right, so let's type this down. Looping through strings. All right, let's go to the next line. What? It's the same. All right. Well, it's the same title, so let's just add to this one. All right. A definite loop using a for statement is much more elegant. Okay. Smooth looking, but whatever. The iteration variable is completely taken care of by the for loop. Very true. I think we've gone through for loops, but whatever. We'll go through this one.
A for loop.
Calm
and
it down.
Generally, when we are...
All right. So fruit equals banana right here. We got for letter in fruit, print letter, right? So the letter is going to be the iteration variable, right? It's going to start at the first one. So we're going to print letter B on one line, A in A, B A in A, banana. All right, just like that. That's how it goes.
A for loop. And generally, when we are able to use a while loop or a for loop, all else being equal, we generally prefer a for loop. And so here we have the for keyword and fruit, and it's an in. And so for letter in fruit, well, that just says letter is our iteration variable, and it's going to take on the successive values of each of the characters. So this loop is going to run 6 times, and letter is going to be B-A-N-A-N-A, banana. I'm always terrified when I make these slides that I'm going to misspell banana, because somehow I always think that there are 2 N's somewhere. I don't know. It's not one of my favorite words to spell. I actually didn't choose banana as the constant. The author who I borrowed the textbook from, Alan Downey and Jeff Elkner, they used banana. And
okay. You get your doctor confirmation back there, Doc. It was those guys, whoever he just said, I already forgot their names. Those guys were the bad guys that loved the 666s and having 6 here and 6 there. That maybe that's why he was a little. That's why he didn't actually say 666 on that 1-2 videos ago. So he's doctor again. You can't blame a man for. I wouldn't say complacent. Maybe it's complacency, but it's his job. And maybe he doesn't know how to deal with it. Maybe he's too scared to talk about it. I'm not. Whoever, Alan Donaghy and Jeff Jibbity B, you guys are the jerks, and you are no longer doctors if you thought you were before. All right, let's go. Dr. Severance, back at it yet again.
So I'm still using banana. So some of the jokes in the book aren't my book.
There we go.
They are the jokes.
I wish you would have said that earlier.
Jeff and Alan.
Jeff and Alan, the 2 jerks. All right, looking through strings. I really didn't like calling him Mr. I think he's a nice guy. Let's go. Looping through strings. Let's do that. We're still in now. All right. Let's add another one. We already have. I thought it changed. My bad. Let's go.
So here are just 2 equivalent. So you can have the while loop. They sort of both do the same thing.
Change the examples up. Should we be typing these examples down, you think? Yes. Well, we already knew the other one. Let's do this one though, because this one's new. All right. So we've already done this one. We've already done this one plenty. So let's skip that one. Let's say while index equals 0. Let's do that. Let me get this. So let's say example. Okay. Tab it over 1. Bring it down 2. Tab it over 1. Index equals 0. I don't want to. We've already gone through while loops. I thought we were going through for loops. Yeah, let's skip writing that down. I thought this was a for loop. Let's go.
They both just print the letters out one time through. Each of these loops runs 5 times. But you can see how the determinant loop, the for loop, is a prettier loop, unless you truly somehow need to know this number as you're going through the loop. But if all you're doing is going through and you want to touch...
Okay, that's the point of this. This and this do the exact same thing. This is what a for loop would be if there were no for loops. And this is what a for loop is. So let's go.
in order each of the characters of the string, you then simply write a for loop because it's more elegant. The less code you write, the less chance there is for you to make a mistake. And so the fact that these are equivalent, this is 2 lines of a loop, and this is 4 lines of a loop. That's twice as many places as you could make a mistake, because you might, misspell index or something. I mean, why even make an iteration variable if you don't need to make an iteration variable? And so we can do things.
All right, let's do this. Looping and counting. All right. Looping. See, look, he dropped this one down. So I guess he just doesn't understand the rules. Maybe he didn't make the slides. That could also be a thing. Looping and counting. This is a simple loop that loops through each letter in a string and counts the number of times the loop encounters the A character. All right, let's write this one down. Let's tab it over like this. Okay, so word equals banana. Banana. All right. Count equals 0. All right. For letter in word, if letter double equals A, we're going to say count equals count plus 1. And then we're going to, outside of the for loop, we're going to print count. All right. There we go. All right. So yeah, we're going to have the word banana, count equals 0 for letter and word. If letter double equals A, we'll say count equals count plus 1, and then we'll print the count. So we'll come here. Is that A? No, it's not. So count's still 0. Is that A? Yes, it is. Count equals 1 now, right? Not an A. Yes, it's an A. Count equals 2. Not an A. Yes, it's an A. Count equals 3. And then when we print the count, it'll give us 3. All right, so let's go.
Things that harken back to our iterations and loops chapter, where anything that you can do in those things, like look for the largest letter, look for the smallest letter, search to see if a letter exists, or say, count the number of A's in the word banana. And so that's what this is doing. And so we so we have a counter. So again, we do something at the top of the loop. We're going to do something in the middle loop, and then we're going to print it out at the bottom. So we start our counter at 0. We're going to loop through all the letters. And then if the letter is A, then count equals count plus 1. This is kind of a pattern in a loop where we're noticing something, and instead of like we did it earlier where we said found equals true, well, we're going to count them this time. So if we have 1, we'll get 1. If we have 0, we get 0. And how many ever there are, but there should be 3 because it's going to run 3 times, and there's 3 A's in banana. And so this is, a conditional within count. We've seen counts, we've seen conditionals in loop in prior chapters. And so,
all right, and we're almost done. So looking deeper into in, let's do that. All right, so looking deeper into in, like that. All right, so let's say here, remember into is a preposition, and this in is a preposition too, but it's actually a keyword, but the keyword is lowercase, so we make it lowercase. So yeah, there's no consistency in the titles here, so let's just do the best we can. The iteration variable iterates through the sequence, all right, or the ordered set, all right. The block or the body, all right, of code is executed once for each value in this sequence, right? The iteration variable moves through all of the values in this sequence. Okay, so let's look at what it looks like. Where can I click?
Again,
All right. So we've got iteration variable right here, 6 character string right here. So for letter in banana, we print letter. Okay, so we would print 1, 2, 3. We would print each one of these on its own line. We've already went through this. I don't know what we're trying to say here, so let's go.
Love the in keyword in Python. It again reminds me of a set notation in algebra. If you're a math whiz, if you're not, don't worry about it. Or maybe you will be a math whiz and you'll say, "Whoa, this set notation reminds me a lot of the in keyword in Python." So
Maybe so.
Again, it's for iteration variable letter. Again, don't get stuck with letter. I just happen to be using it here in banana, and that is for each character in the string banana. Run this loop once, changing the variable letter to be the particular character that we're pointing at. And so it's taking care, for is taking care of a lot for us, right? And so this is sort of...
All right. So let's do this. The iteration variable iterates through that stuff. All right, so let's type that down. Yeah, let's type this down. Let's type it down here. Let's do 2 down like that, and then type it. The iteration variable. No, we can bring it up. All right, well, the iteration variable iterates through the... Oh, we already got that. We literally have all that already written down. The iteration variable iterates through the string, through the sequence. Oh, well. So anyway, let's just watch it.
Of this really smart for loop. The for loop is, both deciding how many times to run the loop, in this case 6, and it's advancing the letter. So advance, print, decide whether you're done, 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 advance, print, decide whether you're done. I am now done because we're done with that particular string.
Ran out of letters.
So you can think of the for as, magically doing all of this for you, of both deciding how long to run the loop, when you're done or not, and moving down
he did write that
all
down.
the successive letters in the loop. So up next, we'll talk a little bit about additional things that we can do with strings. He
has been talking a lot about wizardry and magic, so maybe he did write down that 666. I take away his Dr. Hood again. He's back to Chuck Severance. I took it away again just because that magic reminded me he might actually be on the other side of the aisle. Anyway, so there's that. Let's go down here. What will the following code? And if you're on the other side of the aisle, buddy, you better come over here, buddy, because you're gonna have it's not fun over here either, but at least it's not terrible. All right, so for in a banana, we're gonna print in. All right, so we're gonna print the ins in banana. No, we're gonna print. This is just like letter, or for iteration variable or whatever. It's going to do BANANA like this. Boink, like that. Check the answer. Looks good, and submit. All right, so now we're on to intermediate strings, and we'll see you next time.